Hello everyone. I hope everyone is having a great day. My name is Dan Flavin. I'm here as one of the newest members of the Righteous Gaming Flesh and Blood team, here to talk about my ProQuest Top 4 Dash Inventor Extraordinaire deck list. Before we get started, this is my first time making a deck tech video like this. So if you have any recommendations or anything you would like to see or have done a little bit differently, please feel free to leave a comment. I'll be leaving the Fabre link for this deck in the description of this video if you want to check that out. So, moving on to get started with the deck tech. Dash is a hero that has multiple different game plans, from a very aggressive boosting game plan to a very slow and controlled pistol focused game plan. And this will be a pistol focused dash. Sorry to anybody that was hoping for boost dash. I just don't think that's particularly viable with stuff like Florian and Jarl out there to prey on you. So for our pistol focused deck, we're going to be focusing on Dash's signature weapon, the Tekla Plasma Pistol, which allows you to pay one resource to put a steam counter on it. And then at some time in the future, whether later on that turn or just a completely different turn, you can cash out that steam counter to attack for a base of 2 damage. Then moving on to our hero, Dash herself, allows us to start the game with a Mechanologist item of cost 2 or less in the arena. After we start with our item, for the rest of the game, we do not really have a hero power. The hero power is the item that we started with. And for this deck, there's really only one option. It's going to be Induction Chamber. Same steam counter option as our Tekla Plasma Pistol with the pay 1 resource. But what this does is a once per turn attack reaction where we can remove a steam counter from the induction chamber and actually give our pistol attack go again. So chaining this together with the pistol allows us to pitch a blue to load our pistol and our induction chamber, shoot the pistol, give it go again, load the pistol, shoot it again, and convert any blue into 4 damage. But as you start stacking up more and more induction chambers, you get increasing value on your shots, and starts off that if you start off with your pistol loaded, you can hold 2 blues in your hand and convert your 3 induction chambers just directly into 8 damage. So we're already starting to get a little bit above rate with just 2 blues. And as most people know, this is not the end of our build. We have the Plasma Purifier, which again, the same steam counter loading mechanic, but this time we're going to be adding 1 steam counter. We're going to be adding 1 damage to our pistol for the entire turn. And so you can see how this is going to go. We have 1 of these, it makes our pistol 3 for the whole turn. We have 2 of these, it makes our pistol 4 for the whole turn. We have 3 of these, it makes our pistol 5 for the whole turn. Meaning that if we get to keep a hand with 3 blues in it, we can convert our 3 blues into an attack of a total 20 damage for a turn, which just becomes extremely oppressive late game. That's the goal of this deck. You get this setup and you're just extremely oppressive. You have 1 card for defense and 3 card 20 to just throw at your opponent every turn and just wear down their deck, wear down their equipment, wear down their mental status, and eventually you will just overwhelm them with this onslaught. So we need some supporting cards because obviously we have to get all of these chambers out. They don't have go again, notably, so you can only play 1 per turn. And they do cost 2. They're red, they're non-blocks, so they don't have a lot going for them other than playing them. And if you don't play them, you're going to have a really hard time winning the match. So for some supporting cards, we obviously have the most important one, our Dash Specialization Spark of Genius, which allows us to tutor any Mechanologist item card out of our deck, provided that we're able to pay resources equal to double the cost of that item. It costs XX, and you can search for an item that costs X. So if we pitch 2, we need to pitch 4 to search out one of our pistol items. But with the 2 resources left over, we're able to actually load any items that we currently have and then play Spark of Genius to get a new item. So this deck is very efficient when it comes to resources. If you have an extra resource, you can always just load something up before you end your turn. And then the next thing is we're going to be taking a lot of damage while this is happening. And we're not going to be able to block because our items, they don't block and we need to play them. So we're going to need to get our life back somehow. That's when we get to everybody's favorite card, Count Your Blessings. So we have red and yellow Count Your Blessings. There's not really a point in running one without the other. So we're going to be running the full 6 that we're allowed to run. And we're even going to throw Sigil of Solace on top, just for a little bit of extra life gain, some more instants that interact really well with our ability to load our pistol. And in total throughout the game, this will give us an additional 39 life if we play all these cards. And this deck is designed to go very long, and it's very easy to play all these cards throughout the game. Which basically means our opponent now has to defeat 2 heroes to beat us. And then the next thing is, these Count Your Blessings cost 2, and our deck obviously has mostly blues, so we're going to need something to use that resource on. And on our opponent's turn, we have decent options in the deck: Oasis Respite, Brothers in Arms, which we can pay to make it a block 4, or the Oasis could just straight up prevent 4. And then on our turn, obviously, we're just going to be loading up our items with that 1 extra resource and playing the Count Your Blessings to gain our life. Load up the pistol. You can just shoot for 2. You don't even have to give it a go again. Play the Count Your Blessings, and your resource curves out just extremely well from that point on. The next thing is obviously our defensive power. And where does that come from? Well, it's pretty obvious. It's just a bunch of defense reactions. Just the whole suite. We got all 12 of them in here. Or, well, 9. We got a whole 9 of these defense reactions in here. 0 for 4s. Extremely powerful. Just a great rate with very good effects. Specifically, Shelter from the Storm. The discard effect makes it extremely versatile. And because we're running so many blues, another defense reaction we're going to have in here is actually the Quick Dodge Flexors. Very easy to get 6 to 8 value out of this on the defense against some of these go wide decks. And just all together, very powerful piece of equipment to have in your arsenal. Speaking of equipment, we're going to quickly touch on the rest of the equipment in the deck. The first thing, obviously, is our Tecloplasma pistol here. We talked about that a good amount. For the headpiece of choice, I've picked Arcanite Skullcap for this deck. It's just the best defense you can get out of a headpiece. It blocks 3 if you can average it. If you can leverage it right, pretty consistently blocks for at least 2 breakpoints throughout the game. And that Arcane Barrier 3 comes up actually a decent amount with the current meta, with stuff like Channel the Millennium Tree out there, and Verdance and Acilio with all their amp effects. The AB3 does actually come into play more than you would expect. Going long deck, great use of resources. There's just not really a better chess piece than Tunic. We're going to be getting a lot of use out of these counters. Pretty much anytime the counter comes up, worst case, you can just load up the pistol. Usually, if I still have any Oasis Respite left in my deck, I'd like to keep my counter on 3 for a while in case I draw one of those, because it can be a little bit awkward to play sometimes. Teclo-based arms, we'll talk more about this later. There's a couple different options for arms. Obviously, there's Blade Beckoner Gauntlets from the new set, The Hunted, that can come in with very strong block value, but these are going to be block 1 Blade Break at the base value, and then possibly actually much more than that if we can get our Evos online. Quick Dodge Flexors, we already talked about that. And then from Arcane Barrier, I've chosen Adaptive Dissolver. Its ability to go in multiple slots gives us a lot of flexibility, and for some of the matchups we'll talk about later, we do actually use that flexibility to put it in a couple different slots. Moving on from our equipment, going to talk about some of the tech cards. So that's basically our core deck, our Count Your Blessings, our defense reactions, our items, our Spark of Geniuses. That comes together to make the core of our deck, and then we just need to load this thing up with blues now, basically. So we're going to talk about what blues we have in the deck, and why they're in there, and what we use them for. So Sift is one that basically, if we end up keeping a large hand without any items in it, you can sift to draw 2 cards, and they might be items. And really the goal of this deck is to first off find items as fast as possible, and then later on it's going to be play out all our Count Your Blessings and just have overwhelming offense with those items. So this will help us get to the items faster, and blocks 3 if it's not needed. Truce is kind of the same vein as Sift, where if our opponent leaves us with a large hand or like turn 0, gives us something to do when we don't have items to play. Ripple Away is a very powerful card in the current meta. It's blue, it blocks 3, so that's very baseline, very strong. But in the current meta, stuff like Codex of Frailty, Codex of Bloodrot, it shuts off all those tokens. The Orb Weaver Spinneret, to equip that Graphene Dagger token, it can actually prevent them from equipping that token. And then against Florian, stuff like Germinate or Arcane Seed's Life, if their hero power is not turned on, those cards will make 0 rune chance if you discard Ripple Away. And then Victor, starting to show up again. Visit the Goldman Estate. Won't make it gold if you discard Ripple Away, so they won't be able to draw a card off of playing that. And then if KO ever starts coming back, stuff like Cast Bones, you can stop it from making the agility token. So very powerful card, very powerful effect on it. And then worst case, it's just blue and we're blocking 3 with it. Battlefront Bastion. This is a card that I've seen getting some traction in both red and blue, and we do actually have both red and blue in this list. It's a block 2, but it floats 1 prevention. Very good at covering up dagger attacks. So it can cover up any assassin dagger, even through. Excuse me. It can cover up any assassin dagger and then float the 1 prevention to either block the next dagger or to actually prevent them from being able to flick at us for the rest of the turn. Or it just covers up a breakpoint on the next attack if the Leave No Witnesses or something comes after that. Next, we have the Evo Steel Cell Controller. This is mainly a titanium bauble 90% of the time. It's either blocking or pitching, but it's another turn 0 play. It's another 4-card hand if we don't have items. If we can play this out, effectively we gain an additional 5 block on top of our arms that we wouldn't have had before. Then moving on to some of the non-blocking cards, more tech-specific blue. Snag, very good against assassins in the meta. Amulet of Echoes, this thing is very necessary to help you beat Aurora. Poison the Well, this is for Count Your Blessings mirror matches. It just can really swing those matches. And then Heart of Findall, if we're trying to go like 20, 30 turn games, this thing's going to keep coming back around. We're shuffling our deck with Spark of Genius, it comes back around and gain a bunch of life off this. We have to run 27 to 30 blues in our deck anyways, so might as well fit one of these in there if you have it. Not necessary by any means, though. We'll move on to our red attacks now. Just the very traditional Command and Conquer, probably one of the best cards in Flesh and Blood. We have it here. And then we have Cut Through the Facade. This is picking up some traction recently. I really like it against Aurora. It's hard to block, blows up their embodiments or their CLVs. And then Prism also picking up some steam, and this is a pretty good 7-power attack to defend against Prism. Sound the Alarm. I have been playing this for a while, and it pretty much almost always blocks, so I'm not completely sold on it. But it was in the list, so I put it in the video. And the theory is against assassins, you can use it to get your D-reacts, but most of the time you have so many D-reacts that you'll just draw them anyways, and then now they just know you have one, so it makes it a little bit awkward. And then, like I said before, the red Battlefront Bastion, all the benefits of blocking of the blue one, with the additional benefit of also being a 7-power attack. And then a couple yellows we have in the deck. Remembrance, just in case somebody gets their ideas of wanting to destroy our items, we can get them back. And that all you got, another really good tech piece against Aurora and Assassins just to block their weapon out very, very efficiently. So moving on from the deck, we're going to talk about some of the pros and cons of the deck itself. The pros, like why you should play this deck, the late game is extremely powerful. You get that set up with all your items, and there's really nothing that can stand against you after that point. Unless they have some way of removing your items, you're going to be throwing way too much damage and being able to defend with cards and still throw back that 12 to 20 damage every turn. It's not equipment reliant. Jarl can't really break your game plan by blowing up any of your equipment because it's all items. So he can't blow up items as easily with his hero power or his cards. So your equipment is all bonus, and a deck is not reliant at all. You have a million defensive options. There's a bunch of cards that I didn't even put in here that you could put in there. There's Unmovable. There's Reinforce the Line, although I don't have very many attacks, so I would hold off on that one. And there's lots of room for tech. I have a tech for Aurora in there. Aurora's about to LL. We'll get some more slots. We can find some more tech. This deck just has room for whatever card you want to put in it. Very flexible. And the game plan is simple. You set up your items. You use them to overwhelm your opponent. Some of the cons, it's item reliant. And there is cards that can punish that. They can blow up our items. We have a 6-card strategy, right? Our 6 items is our strategy. And we have to see those. If we don't see those for long enough, we can have to play too much defense and end up actually getting fatigued, or we can just straight up die to somebody that outraces us, which goes along with the fact that the deck is very slow to start up. At the beginning of the game, we're not really doing anything. We're kind of like playing CYBs, we're playing sigils, we're playing items, but we're not pressuring our opponent at all. The pressure is with our late game inevitability and not with early damage or disruption. And there's a ton of non-blocks. So sometimes if they come in with a powerful on hit, there's just nothing you can do about it. And that can be really frustrating at times. And it's just something you have to deal with if you want to pick up this strategy. And I would say some of the good matchups, or if these decks are in your meta, one reason that you would want to go towards this deck, it's very strong versus Florian. It's very strong versus New. And it has a decent game into some of the more aggressive assassins, depending on their lists. Some things that if they're in the meta, you might want to leave Dash at home. If you're going to be facing against a lot of Fang, that matchup is super problematic. Stuff like Phi even can be really hard because he doesn't care about hitting as much as Syndra does. Whereas Syndra, who cares about hitting, we got a lot of D-reacts, we got armor blocks, we can deal with something like that. But Phi, he just goes wide no matter what we do, and it can be really difficult to deal with. So I'm going to go over some of the popular matchups that you might see and just give my thoughts on how to play them out. And like I said, the Fabry link will be in the description with the full sideboard guide that I use. I'll keep updating it as I change the deck a little bit. And if I do a big overhaul in the deck, I might make an update video. So let me know in the comments if that's something you want. First, we'll talk about Florian. There's really 2 versions of Florian that we're worried about. First, we'll talk about the more mid-range version where they're going to be actually attacking you with stuff like Felling and Plow Under, and they're not going to be just stacking a million rune chance against you. So the way you want to play against this is you want to actually take damage. You don't really want to block them that much early. It's fine if you go down to 20, even 15 health, as long as you still have counter blessings left in your deck, just to get your item set up. And then once you have your item set up, that extra life from counter blessings kind of lets you play your items. And then you get to a point in the game where it's maybe they have 40, you maybe have 28 with 1 or 2 counter blessings left in your deck, but you have 5 or 6 items and they can't really pressure you enough as much as you can pressure them. And you just grind them down. And they have to start blocking, and they can block pretty well, but if they're sending back a 1-card 5 and you can block that, you can take the 2 rune chance, block out their sword, then you can send back a 3-card 20, and it's just no competition at that point. Stuff like Cut Through the Facade is also pretty good against them. It's a 7-power attack, and it can take out, well, 1 rune chant is kind of the worst case, but it can force them to block it out to protect their Channel Millennium Tree, and then they may not be able to pitch enough Earth cards to even keep it around anyways. The next version of Florian is this new kind of like OTK stacking version. The best way to play against this, you're not going to let them decompose. You're going to sit there and pitch your whole hand in Tecloplasma Pistol if you don't have an item, so you can draw a new hand. And they're going to be making rune chants, but as long as their hero power is not turned on, the rate at which they make rune chants is not going to be enough. And then once you have your full 6 items, then it's go time. You just start attacking for 20 every turn, and they're not going to be able to keep up with your damage. You want to get all your reds out of the deck as fast as you can. So stuff like, you just going to discard shelters on your turn for no value. You're just going to discard. You're just going to get them out of your deck. You want to be drawing up all blues or items every time, and you want to be only pitching blues if you can help it. You might have to pitch your favor scenes because there's not enough room in the sideboard to cut them, but that's okay. And like you said, you're going to play out your sigils, play out your counter blessings, don't pitch those. Even if you draw all reds, just just wait a turn. You got plenty of time against this deck. And the only attack you're going to send before your setup is CNC, because they cannot play Rootbound Carapace against it. So they have to do something, and you can push a little damage that way. Threaten their arsenal, maybe. These matchups, I've played them a decent number of times, and if you use these strategies, they feel very winnable, very able to be dealt with. Aurora, you're just going full defense mode on her. You're going to start with the one chamber, and that's it. We got the Amulet of Echoes like we talked about earlier. Again, this can make their hands very awkward sometimes. If they draw 2 Arc Lightnings, they kind of just have to play one Arsenal one, but then the one they played is not very powerful. And if they're not having very powerful turns, our turns are very, very defensive. And we're just going to force them to play out these awkward hands until we can send 4 damage with every blue, and eventually they have to start blocking the pistol, and then it's curtains for them. Again, Cut Through the Facade, very good in this matchup as well. It's a 7, so they really can't block it with just equipment most of the time. And if it hits, it's going to take out their embodiment, which is going to make their turn very awkward. Assassins, obviously there's 2 kind of big groups of assassins here. We have new. You don't want to let her banish a million cards off the top of your deck, because you'll run out of cards and they'll get rid of all your items. So to combat that, we're going to run all of our items. We really only need 2 of each to win the game, but some of them are probably going to get banished. Snag, this card's crazy against new. If they hit you with Mask of the Nightmares, you're just going to banish reds out of your hand. And then your arsenal, you kind of want to only go for like CYBs, sigils, or defense reacts. And it's totally fine to just leave it empty most of the time. Aggressive assassins, you have to run all 6 of your items against them as well, even though you might not really want to, because a lot of them will get banished. You want to mainly play defense, set up items if you can. Snag can be really good against them if they really overcommit on some stuff, but they're starting to run a lot more dagger buffs and front pumps, and Snag is a lot less good against that, so I might go down from 2 to 1 in these matchups. And then same thing with instants in the arsenal. Then the last matchup I wanted to talk about is Prism. We have 9 poppers, and 6 of them are 7 power. Like I said, we have CNC, Cut Through the Facade, Battlefront Bastion. Battlefront Bastion is really cool because you can pop it and still float that 1 damage prevention. So that will allow you to pop a Herald, and then if they come in with another red Herald, you can actually block 6 and just cover it up pretty easily. We're cutting almost all of our items. We're going to leave 2 chambers in there. We're going to start with 1. We're going to leave 1 in our deck. And we're going to focus on keeping cards in our deck. I actually lost this matchup at one of my ProQuests because I halfway through the game wanted to push a little more damage and attacked with one of my blues, and I lost the game to exact lethal from their last Herald with not enough cards in the deck. So if I would have had 1 more card in the deck instead of attacking with that throttle, I might have been able to win that game. So I should have pitched it. They have a lot of tricks. They can halo to reduce your poppers. They have those instant pumps, celestial reprimand, so you kind of want to watch out for all that stuff when you're going against Prism. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about today is just a few cards to look out for, be aware of if your opponent has them, and just be ready to play around them. So stuff like Imperial Warhorn and Smash a Good Time, these are just generic cards that can attack your items. So you want to be bringing Remembrance if your opponent has these. Arc Smash, Smash Performance, these are Brute only cards that can attack your item. Pretty much against Brute, you're always going to want to just bring your Remembrance because of these. And then Poison the Well, we have it in our deck in case people are playing Counter Blessings, and we are playing Counter Blessings, so people will definitely bring it against us. And then, like I said, these 2 heroes, they're tough. They're tough, man. And that's all I have to say about this dash. Like I said, the Fadbrand link with full matchups and everything will be posted in the description of this video. The Righteous Gaming Discord is open to the public. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment here or come into the Discord and ask me. I'll be active in there. And please, drop a like if you liked it. If you want to subscribe, there's good content coming out from Tyler about the market, and we're working on some more meta game videos and some more deck tech. So just let us know what you want to see, and let me know what you thought of the video. Thank you so much.